We're standing in the historic McCormick Observatory at the University of Virginia. It's the main observatory on central grounds at UVA. The observatory was dedicated on Thomas Jefferson's birthday, which is April 13th in 1885. So the cornerstone for the building was laid in 1883, and construction of the building continued through 1883 and 1884. When the telescope was finished, it was the largest telescope in the United States and the second largest lens telescope anywhere in the world. The telescope that you're looking at is the original telescope. It contains the original lenses, the original tube, the original mount. All the gears are original, the pier is original. The only two changes that we've made to the telescope in the last 130 years are the addition of electric motors and a little change to the end of the telescope where in 1885 astronomers used to look through the telescope. Today we have the ability to both look through the telescope and use digital cameras with our students. So the telescope itself moves north-south along one axis and it tilts east-west around another axis. We grab the telescope by hand and we move it. And even though the telescope weighs a few thousand pounds, it's easy to move because it's very finely balanced. Before they had electric motors here at McCormick Observatory, they needed a way to drive the telescope to track the stars, and for that they used the governor. The governor was driven by a large weight that used to hang off the side of the telescope. Over the course of a few hours, the weight would fall to the floor. As the weight fell, it would provide the power that would drive the governor. The spinning governor was adjusted so that the telescope would exactly track the stars and the astronomer would not have to make any adjustments. In 1914, they built their first camera here at McCormick Observatory, and the camera took plates, glass photographic plates that provided a permanent record of what they saw. The main research that was carried out here from 1914 until 1995 was measuring the distances to the nearby stars. Astronomers would very carefully measure the position of the stars with respect to nearby stars, and they would see the stars shifting back and forth, and that allowed us to determine the distance to the stars. From 1914 to 1995, we took 144,000 plates of the sky, and they're all stored here in the plate vault at McCormick Observatory. The telescope was the gift of Leander McCormick. He's the brother of Cyrus McCormick, who's usually credited with inventing the reaping machine, a device for harvesting wheat crops. The McCormick family made a fortune off of this machine, and late in his life, Leander McCormick wanted to donate a gift back to his home state of Virginia, and he wanted it to be the largest telescope in the world. This is our historic Parkinson and Frodsham clock. It was purchased for the University of Virginia in 1827 in London, England. We believe that this is the oldest piece of scientific instrumentation that exists from the early days of the university because almost everything else was lost in the Great Rotunda Fire in 1895. This clock, like other clocks at the observatory, measures star time or sidereal time. The stars keep a slightly different time than our watches do, which keep time according to the sun, and these telescopes would be used to help point the telescope in the sky. So Thomas Jefferson believed that astronomy was almost as important as architecture to be studied at the early university, and he very much desired that the university should have an observatory. And in fact, he purchased the mountain that we're on, Mount Jefferson, specifically for having an observatory on top, for securing the water supply for the university because the reservoir was just down the hill from us, and also for the lumber that was on the mountain. But he very much intended to build an astronomical observatory on top of the mountain, but they ran out of subscription funds or donations, and he wasn't able to see that in his lifetime.